Hi, this is Julie from Soulbridge Holistics. Thank you for coming to my channel and for working with me once again to enlighten the world, make it a better place, and help our soul family unite. I'm going to try and set up a clipboard here so I have some notes in front of me. This will be kind of jiggly. How's that? Okay, so I had a couple of different topics I wanted to address here. One of them would be the importance of female autonomy and freedom. And then I want to go into how female autonomy and the autonomy of other people tends to be curtailed by service to self-individuals, and what you can do as an individual to help with that. I had a relationship with a person who had mental illness, and he literally disappeared for a while and came back with another person that he wanted to move into our household. And I said, if you're not employed and I'm expecting a child and you're trying to bring in a fourth individual, I'm not going to support four people. I have to support just myself. So I moved out and left him with that other individual to work out on his own. It's not my job to oversee or be responsible for the care and insight and intellectual well-being of a normal adult who has to figure things out for themselves. I can get out of harm's way, and I can remotely oversee the circumstances and communication. It turned out at that point that he had a younger sibling who was also coming in onto the picture, and she was 14 years old and trying to get enrolled into classes. And it's interesting that at the point that she was trying to be put into classes, she called me for help, because this was in the 80s, and believe it or not, in the 1980s they were still pushing for women to take sewing and cooking classes and home economics. You would think that you would see men in those classes, because men should learn how to sew. They definitely need to care for their houses, and they need to understand budgeting and food preparation. That should be something that all people learn. But somehow this has gotten into a role play of a gender-based nature, and people think that that should be jobs that women do. So she was recommended that for her alternative classes she take cooking and sewing. Woodworking classes, she tried to get into a woodworking class, and they said, well, you'd be the only girl, so you don't want to take that. I can tell you that I took woodworking and metal shop and ring making and technology classes. Thank you very much. I have a female friend who's a truck driver. We have to look at these non-traditional roles and ask ourselves, if a woman would make a good police officer or a good construction worker or a good security officer, and why are we keeping women out of these roles? And even the military understood that females have a place in military service at all. So my background's with social work, and especially with care of people who have barriers. Sometimes age is a barrier, sometimes a disability is a barrier, sometimes gender is a barrier. Also socioeconomic barriers, such as not being born to a rich family, having a very small income, having limited education, being of a not popular color in your area. So when I'm trying to help to prevent exploitation, especially for dependent adults, to include those with autism or those with Down syndrome, I'm looking at sexual exploitation, like the person staying with you and refusing to have those advancements put upon them, but they're told that if they want to eat or they want a place to stay, they have to do what they're told. That is exploitation. And for the sake of female autonomy, if that's you that I'm describing, consider finding another place to live. The other thing would be emotional or psychological abuse. If someone uses foul language, or they're demeaning, or they're accusing you of whatever, you don't participate enough, this should be how you participate, I give you food so you should give me XYZ, or I wish you were dead, you're such a burden. That's an example of psychological abuse. And then financial exploitation. If you're going to stay here with me, give me your ATM card, you owe me a tank of gas. Examples like that. So if what I'm describing is actually an older female or an older adult that you know of, then Adult Protective Services is somebody that you should call to help with situations of exploitation, especially for a dependent adult or an older adult or a female that you believe is in need of some support. They respect autonomy, they help the person to make decisions and connect them with resources, and they understand, they have legal awareness, and they collaborate with other multidisciplinary agencies to help you to find ways to negotiate a situation. It is still true, even in 2025, when I'm filming this, that there are women who are facing exploitation and facing situations that they should get out of. I would definitely start with Adult Protective Services, and if you are an adult, or especially an older adult, or a person with a disability, ask for assistance with that and see what they can do for you. I know that some people stay away from legal stuff, and APS tends to involve legal sometimes, but they have your autonomy in mind. They're looking for the least restrictive means to help you out. And in your area, there may be resources that you're not aware of. So the importance of female autonomy and spiritual freedom is such that in the spirit world, gender is not a consideration. You're not reproducing, you're not trying to hook up, you're not trying to get a partner, you're not trying to get a relationship. You're an autonomous individual. And in the greater picture of things, when we take another life, are reborn again, we might change gender. It's interesting that I did a past life regression on somebody once where I said, go back and picture yourself in a past life and describe it to me, and he did. In fact, I'm actually going to guide you guys on how to do a past life regression in another video. But in this video, I said, is there a mirror in your house? Go stand in front of it and tell me what you see. And you could hear him stuttering. This is a very tall truck driver type guy who goes, I'm a woman. And I said, okay, well, describe yourself. Do you have family around here? Is there other people? And he said, yes, if you look out the window, there's a man working in the field outside. I said, okay, and do you have children? And I had to kind of distract him a bit, because the idea that he was a different gender at one time, that was scary for him. But you know what? If you consider that the person who's a male now might be learning more autonomy, and because he may have been a female before, or a female is learning different kinds of autonomy, or different kinds of giving, or different kinds of cooperation because that person used to be a male in a past life. It's an interesting food for thought, isn't it? So it's not just female autonomy that we're talking about, it's human autonomy. And by birthright, as a physical being, as a human being, you should be entitled to everything that males are entitled to. And so some protection is necessary for cultures that still exploit women, that see a woman as less than. And I guess this video today is to bring attention to that and help anyone who might not have considered these things. All right, like, share, subscribe, and stay luminous.